What is up, guys? Team UV here with another video, and today we're doing another deck profile, and we're gonna do something a little special because a lot of people have been requesting this. So we're gonna hop right into the video, but before we do, my per usual pre-profile video message: make sure you smash that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, give the video a thumbs up, and let me know how you're doing in the comment section down below. Now let's hop into the video. Alrighty, so today we're going to be taking a look at Eldlich Zombie again. I haven't posted a profile for this in a while, but the one that I posted I think it was a few months ago, it was actually pretty popular, and a lot of people have been requesting that I do more videos on this, so that's what I'm here to do today. Today we're going to be doing some discussing of the Eldlich Zombie deck. So we're going to start with our main deck here. The deck is pretty solid, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I play 3 Solitaire and 2 Unizombie. This is really all that you need. You don't need a 3rd Unizombie. 2 gets the job done, and it all just functions very well together. Then I play 2 Glow Up Bloom. This does come in handy quite a lot, so keep in mind, if you need to like search your deck or special summon from deck, your Glow Up Bloom is going to be your best option. Then I play 2 Doom King Ballardrock. Some people play 1. I think 1 is bad. I think you like really want to see this card all the time, so 2 is extremely helpful. Then for the 1-ofs, we play 1 Jackabolin, 1 Fraulein, 1 Mizuki. I'm just going to stack these a little bit, and 1 Banshee. I think these are all good 1-ofs. You can play multiple Jackabolin if you want. If you don't want to, then just stick to the 1. It comes up occasionally. It's not something that comes up all the time. The Fraulein comes up occasionally too, but not as much as everything else. Then we have 2 Golden Lord. I don't think you need 3, even in this variation. Unless you're playing like pure Eldlich, I don't think you need 3 Golden Lord. I think 2 is fine in most lists that kind of just mix the engine in there. Moving on to the spells, though. We have 2 Zombie World. You don't need 3. You really don't want to draw it. But if you do, you do. It doesn't make too much of a difference. But you basically want to play this off of your Banshee and hope that it just sticks on the field. To coincide with that, we have 3 copies of Super Poly. This card does come up a lot. The Super Poly is very, very strong, and it breaks a lot of boards very easily. So keep in mind, really, really good card. Then we have the pricey stuff, the Triple Pot of Prosperity. This card is really good. Your extra deck is used, but it's not like something where you have to keep every single card in your extra deck. You can work around it. So 3 Pot of Prosperity is really, really good. If you can't afford it, just find a substitute. That's totally up to you guys. Then for the Eldlich stuff, we have 3 Cursed Eldland, 1 Eldlich Black Awakening, and 1 White Destiny. In this deck, these cards are actually ridiculously good. Just great synergy with the zombie stuff, so keep that in mind. Then the traps, we play 3 Sanguine, 3 Conquistador, 2 Haquero for our Eldlich traps. This is a pretty good lineup. If you want to play a 3rd Haquero, by all means, go for it. I just like playing 2. And then lastly, we play 3 Rivalry of Warlords because it locks your opponent basically out of summoning if you have a Zombie World active and they summon a monster, then you just flip the Rivalry and they're pretty much stuck, which is pretty sweet. But that's the main deck. Should be 40 cards. I like the way the main deck looks. Like I said, there's some things you could substitute, but that's fully up to you. Moving on to the extra deck, though, the Link ones, we have a Link Spider for our Eldlich traps. It's pretty basic. It doesn't come up excessively, but when it does definitely help you. Then we have a Link Karibo and an Anima. These are for your Glow Up Bloom if you summon it. Not really much to talk about here. They're just pretty good cards. Kind of help you break boards or just end on something a little more powerful. Then we have a Vampire Sucker and an Avenged Savior. These cards come up pretty frequently. You make these quite a lot, so keep in mind these cards are really good. Then the Link 3, we have the BLS Link, which is just really good alongside the Eldlich engine. And then I do play for Link 4, the Yukiona. I think this card is really, really underrated. It's just a powerful card. If you want to play like Access Code Talker, you can, but I like this card a lot. Then Synchros, I play 1 Omega and 1 Shogun Saga. This doesn't come up excessively, but it does help you beat over some bigger monsters, so keep in mind this is actually useful. And then the Omega, it's Omega. You can't say no to an Omega. We have a Constellar Pleiades, a Gaia Dragon, and a Zeus. This does come up sometimes with, you know, playing the Eldlich traps. Occasionally you'll make a Pleiades and then you'll be able to stack everything up. So it's pretty good. It's nothing terrible. So keep in mind if you want to play that, it's a neat little engine. And the Super Poly targets, we play the Dragon Necro, the Borreload Furious, and the Starving Venom. I think that these are just really good selections for Super Poly. If you want to play the Predaplant one instead of one of these, go for it. But I just went with these because they get the job done. That's the extra deck, though. We're going to hop on over to the side deck. We have 3 Lancia because it's the best hand trap right now. We don't main deck any hand traps either, so I wanted to side deck a few. And 1 Pankratops, my usual. Got to play the Pankratops. And for the spells, 3 Dark Ruler. Got to stop those boards from basically cutting off your lines of play. So you Dark Ruler them, and then they can't play anymore. Backer removal, pretty heavy on the backer removal. 3 Twister, 1 Feather Duster, 3 Evenly, and 1 Red Reboot. Now keep in mind with the Evenly, it's not just for back row. You could also do this against a bunch of other decks after you've baited negations out, or if you need to bait a negation out. So keep in mind, that's definitely an option. You don't have to always just side in Evenly for Eldlich matchups. There's other decks that it's really good against. So that is the entirety of the side deck, though. Basically wrapping up the deck profile portion of the video. Now, I had a lot of people who asked me questions about how the deck runs and how to play it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys some of the neat things it could do. I'm just going to do some test hands and do my best to showcase what the deck actually does when it functions. So let's hop on to it. Alrighty, so I have already started to shuffle this. As you can see, I'm just going to mix this up a little bit. The lighting probably looks different from the deck profile. I decided to change it up a little bit because I was getting slight glares when I raised the camera up higher. So I wanted to kind of fix that so it didn't glare at all. So the lighting is definitely different, but it's all to make sure you guys can see the cards that I'm putting down on the table and you can follow along with me. So I'm just going to give this a few more shuffles and cuts here. We're going to start with our opening 5 cards. There's 4 and 5. So we have, if you can see this here, Mizuki, Solitaire, Eldland, Conquistador, and Glow Up Bulb. This is a pretty good hand. It's a really good hand. So we're going to summon the Solitaire, use the effect to send it. Then we can get our Unizombie. Give this a little shuffle here. Now we have a couple lines of play that we can go through. It's obviously up to you guys as to how you approach this. But I know for me, one of the things that I find to be most important is getting a way to establish a Ballardrock. That's very important in this scenario. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Unizombie's effect to send from deck. And we're going to send a Banshee. So Banshee goes to grave. Perfect. Then we're going to activate an Eldland, and we'll use the Eldland's effect, paying 800. And we're actually going to grab a Golden Ward. All right. I'm sorry, we're not grabbing Golden Lord. I'm losing my mind here. We're grabbing a Haquero. I got like one step ahead of myself. Okay, so now we're going to use the Banshee's effect, banishing itself to activate a Zombie World from deck. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use Unizombi's second effect to discard the Glow Up Bloom. The bloom will trigger engrave to banish itself. This will then get us a Ballardrock onto the board. And now that we have the Ballardrock on board, we can link it with the Unizombie. And you're going to want to go for the Vampire Sucker. The reason that we're going for Vampire Sucker is just because it's a good link too. And on top of that, you're going to get to draw a card off of your Ballardrock summon, which is really good. So from here, we just set the Haquero and the Conquistador, and we pass our turn. On our opponent's standby phase, the Ballardrock would come back, and I'm going to summon it over to the side here. When it is summoned that way, the sucker is going to get us a draw. We draw another Ballardrock, big whoop. So with this board, we have your typical negation and banish with this. And then like you can summon these if you have to either block your opponent from doing anything, or you do it in the end phase. So then these come out, you draw for turn, there's a prosperity. We'll get to that later. And then you overlay these two into a Pleiades, which you can then detach and get rid of a card if you want, on your opponent's field, obviously. And then you can use your Eldland as well, which can get you a Golden Lord if you want a Golden Lord, or you grab a Conquistador or Haquero, whatever you're looking for in this case. And you could put the Ballardrock into attack position. From here, I would probably go with the Prosperity. It's just a good line of play. And in this scenario, I'm going to get rid of an Anima, a Shogun Saga, and let's get rid of the Borreload Fierce Dragon. I'm only going to do 3 cards. I don't think we have to do more than that in this scenario. We'll look at the top 3 cards. There's Super Poly, a Glow Up Bloom, and a Rivalry. I'm actually going to grab the Bloom because this card is actually really good. So these go on the bottom in any order that I want. That goes to grave. Now we can normal summon the Glow Up Bloom, which is pretty powerful. And from here, we have several lines of play that we can go into, okay? There's definitely not just one. We're not just limited. And I'm going to point this out on Glow Up Bloom. So you can banish it from your graveyard and add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from deck to your hand. Or if Zombie World is in a field zone, you can special summon it from your deck. So we're not going to be special summoning from deck, which I'll explain why after. But we're going to link these two. And we're going to get our Avenged Savior. The other option would be link to Ballardrock too, to go into the BLS. So that's actually, you know what, let's do that. We're going to do that because I'm going to show you guys kind of the explosiveness of this deck. So now that these are linked, we can get the Glow Up Blooms effect. We banish it, and we're actually going to search this time. I'm going to grab Jack-o'-Bolin. Jack-o'-Bolin is actually really good. All right. Now, Jack-o'-Bolin effect is going to trigger to summon itself by discarding a Golden Lord, which then we can use the Golden Lord to send the Eldland to summon itself. Or if you wanted to, the other option would be to summon another zombie from your hand, because if you did not know, Golden Lord says special summon 1 zombie monster from your hand. So you can actually summon the Mizuki or the Ballardrock, which is pretty crazy, not going to lie. That's actually super powerful. So we're actually going to summon the Mizuki, and we're going to link these two. And we can make our Avenged Savior. We can then use the Mizuki's effect to summon the Ballardrock. If you want to summon something else, you can too. It's obviously your preference. You do have a lot of options here to go into, so keep in mind that you're not limited to anything. But now you have this board that's actually really powerful. Like, this can actually do a lot of damage to your opponent, which is really sweet. Now, granted, you can't really make a Zeus right now because you used the Glow Bloom, but still, this is a pretty good board. That's not too bad. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the cards up again, and we'll do another test hand to kind of show you guys so you can get the gist of how the deck plays. All right, guys, this is test hand number 2. Let's go ahead and just mix these up a little bit and see how everything is looking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We opened up the dreaded double Golden Lord. Is this still playable? That's the question. And the answer is yes. So we're going to use our Cursed Eldland, paying 800. Grab a Conquistador. Then we can use the Eldlich to summon a Golden Lord from our hand. Your best bet is to usually summon it to the right-hand side. And then basically you activate a zombie world, you set a Conquistador, and you pass. This is not an ideal hand, obviously, but you do still have a Conquistador, which is going to be one interruption, and then they have to play through both of these. So it's not fantastic, but all of your opponent's monsters are also zombies, so you kind of hurt Dragon Link in a way, which is nice. So it's not fantastic. It's not the worst. But you have to make do with what you have, and that was really what we had. So let's hop on over to a third test hand, because that one was really short, and I'll show you guys some more stuff. Alrighty, we're here for test hand number 3. Give this a few more mixes here. Perfect. And we'll grab our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. This isn't a bad hand. This is playable. So let's start with the Pot of Prosperity. Seeing where we're going first, I'm going to get rid of the Anima. I'm going to get rid of the Shogun Saga. I'm going to get rid of, let's get rid of a Furious. And you know what? Because I don't see us using the engine for the Eldlich Trap engine, we're just going to do 6 this time. And we're going to see what we get. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and ooh, I just spilled some of the deck. There we go. There's our 6 cards. We have a Zombie World, Conquistador, Haquero, Doom King, Ballardrock. This is not anything fantastic, but I am actually going to grab the Zombie World. The Zombie World is actually pretty important to our line of play here. So you're thinking like, okay, well, you have the Necro World. Why do the Zombie World? The reason being is that I have nothing to get rid of this with, really. So we need a Zombie World. So we activate this. We normal summon the Bloom. After the Bloom is summoned, we're going to link it for a Link Rebo. Then your Bloom triggers, banishing itself to summon a Ballardrock from deck. From here, we're going to activate our Cursed Eldland using the effect, grabbing a Conquistador. And then I'm going to set Super Poly and Conquistador, and I would pass from here. So essentially what we have is all of our opponent's monsters are going to be zombies, so our Super Poly can discard the Banshee, and we can summon a Dragon Necro. We also have the ability to drop our opponent's monster's attack to 0. We also have a negate and a banish, and we have a monster that can come out onto the field. And on our turn, we draw a Golden Lord. Okay, that's interesting. But the board is still pretty powerful. All of our opponent's monsters are zombies too, which is pretty sweet. So keep in mind, this is a board that, like I said, the deck it's not a speed base deck. It's not a combo deck. People were asking me to do combo videos for this. There isn't a combo specifically that you go for. It's literally just whatever you open is what you open, and just play the hand out as well as you can. This is not a deck that I can sit here and say, hey, if you open up this card, this card, and this card, you're going to end on this board. Because it is all very situational. You kind of figure it out yourself as to what you're playing against. But I'm going to do one more test hand just so you guys can see. So let's hop on over to the last test hand. Alrighty, so we're here for the last test hand. One thing I wanted to mention before we draw the cards up is that, I'm showing a lot of going first hands, strictly showing going first hands. This deck does still have the ability to go second. You can bait negations out. You can use your Golden Lord to play around stuff. You can use your Super Poly to play around stuff. So the ability to go second is definitely there. I'm just showing going first hands specifically. I'm not going to do any kind of going second hands, just because I want you guys to get the grasp of how the deck functions. That way you can understand it. But last test hand, what do we have? Alrighty, this is pretty playable. Well, we can make this work. I think we can make this work. So we summon the Solitaire using the effect. I'm just going to show this to you guys. Tribute 1 zombie type monster, special summon 1 zombie type tuner with 0 defense from your deck. So you don't have to always summon Unizombie. There are times where you can summon other cards. I just wanted to show that so you guys knew. Let's go ahead and summon our Unizombie, wherever it is. There we go. Perfect. We're then going to use the Unizombie's effect, actually, and we're going to send the Banshee. There's the Banshee. right, there's the setup here. So what we're going to do normally, obviously we're going to do the Necro World Banshee. So we're going to get a Zombie World out. Now, we have multiple lines of play here, and it depends completely on the deck that you're playing against. So I want to like make this clear beforehand, because we have two options, and that's very important to keep in mind. So the first option is we set these 3 cards and we pass. The other option is we set these 3 cards and we pass. The Rivalry and the Super Poly are interchangeable. The problem is that if you set the Super Poly, your Rivalry is now inactive, basically, which kind of sucks. It's not fantastic. So essentially, you have to determine what you're playing against. If you're playing against another Eldlich matchup, there's no reason to set the Rivalry. Like, you should just keep it in your hand, and then you set these 3 cards. But if you're playing against something that's not like an Eldlich zombie deck, then you could probably set the Rivalry and save the Super Poly for later. Because essentially, what you're going to have with these 3 is that you're going to have the ability to do your Sanguine to summon your Golden Lord, and then you can do your Conquistador, and you can have your Rivalry active, which is really going to hurt your opponent. But there are other scenarios in which you would just have the Super Poly set. You do the same exact thing where you do the Sanguine, summon this, and then you summon this, and then you can Super Poly if your opponent gets 2 monsters out still, and then you can make your Necrosoul. So those are the 2 lines of play with that hand. It's literally up to you how you want to play it. Doing the play that sets the Super Poly gets rid of more cards on your opponent's field, but the Rivalry play locks your opponent out of doing much of anything. So keep in mind, there are multiple lines of play there. And if you have to, with like the Super Poly, let's say they just summon like a big monster, you can Super Poly discard, and if they only have 1 monster, you get rid of theirs, and then you can either get rid of your Unizombie or your Conquistador to make the Dragon Necro. So there's a lot that can be done, and I wanted to kind of display that because the deck doesn't have a specific combo. There isn't something where I can sit there and say, other than like your Solitaire summoning a Unizombie, that's about the only like combo that you have, because it depends on what you draw, depends on what you send to graveyard, all the other good stuff. But that basically brings the video to the close, not the close, brings the video to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, like I said earlier in the video. And for right now, this is Team Yugi Feels signing out.